He operates and serves by a political philosophy that believes that governance is the structural administration of all kinds of resources, be it human, natural, or economic. He is a politician who has resolved the difficult symmetry between politics and religion. So he is a pastor, he is a writer, and an estate surveyor of repute. And tonight, he is my guest on this program. My name is Adeniyi Taiwo, and this is how I welcome you to Dialogue on NTA Abeokuta. You are welcome. Now, to a proper introduction of my guest. He is a former member of Ogun State House of Assembly between 2007 and 2011, after which he was re-elected between 2011 and 2015. He served as Deputy Speaker from 2008, and he was also awarded Martin Luther King Medal of Emerging Black Democrat by Martin Luther King Foundation, Atlanta, Georgia, United States of America, in November 2012. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about no other person than the special advisor to the Governor of Ogun State, Dr. Remi Azan. You are welcome to Dialogue, sir.
Thank you very much. That was a pleasure.
You are welcome, sir. Okay, let's start like this. You went across, different parts of this country in search of education. You went to Federal Polytechnic Nasarawa. You went to Yabatech. You also went to University of Nigeria, and of course you were at University of Ibadan, where you obtained masters and later PhD in housing development and management. Okay, so tell us, what has been your motivation for education? And in answering that question, I want you to compare that to what we have now, where some youth, this generation, believe that education has come.
Well, the first thing is you must place a value on knowledge for you to appreciate knowledge. And the value you place on knowledge will determine how you approach a quest for knowledge. I've always believed that if you must succeed in leadership, you must know one thing about everything. And for the chosen field of endeavor, you must know almost everything about that thing. And that has been the philosophy that has propelled me to always want to get more knowledge at every time. And that's why whenever I have what looks like a free moment in my life endeavor, I'm looking for which other area of knowledge that I need to quickly get acquainted with immediately. Very soon I am starting another doctorate with the Nigerian Defense Academy in Kaduna. It has to do with environmental tactics and what have you. It's still geography related. It's something that can be put into housing, hazardous areas and what have you. So anytime I see myself as being relatively free, I look for which other knowledge to acquire, because I want to broaden the horizon of my understanding and be able to contribute meaningfully when a particular discussion is going on, simply because I've been able to assert myself concerning that area of knowledge.
Okay, that your passion for knowledge appears to be at variance with what we have in this present generation.
That's why I said it is the value you place on knowledge that propels your quest to want to have knowledge. There are those who believe that success is determined or measured by the amount of money that you have in your pocket. There are those who believe that success is determined by the amount of acquisitions in terms of property, cars, and what have you that you're able to put together. And some of us believe that all of those notwithstanding, it is by what you have upstairs. Because what is here can put a lot of money in your pocket, can also put a lot of possessions in your hand. So we believe in developing here to develop other parts of our lives. So that's how I reason. And that's why I keep believing that there is still more to learn. And that's why I always want to know more anytime.
Okay, when the name Pastor Remi Azan is mentioned, before you took on this present appointment, what will come to the mind of an average state resident is, okay, your stint at the legislature. You served for, I think, 2 terms. What would you describe as the highlight of that particular phase of your life?
Well, that was my first stint with mainstream politics. but it wasn't my baptism of fire in terms of politics, because every school that I've been privileged to attend, I always want to identify with the political aspect of studentship. In Federal Poly Nasara, I was Secretary of the Student Union Government. In Yabatek, I was Secretary of the Student Union Government. Even in the same Yabatek, I was the Speaker of the Estate Management Student Representatives Council. And that has developed the interest of politics in me, which made me to now say mainstream politics is what being tried. And that's why after my first 10 years of working after graduation, the next thing on my head is, let's go there and see what we can do to contribute to mainstream politics. And that brought us. Of course, the key word is service. Service. And how to leave a legacy that will outlive whatever name that we bear. And that's why long after we have left the Ogun State House of Assembly, that name is still a household name there. It's because we went beyond the ordinary to assert that some things needed to be put in proper perspective and done rightly. And the voice was heard almost all over. We didn't even know that while we were speaking, the voice was also heard outside of the shores of Nigeria, which was what propelled the A.D. King and Martin Luther King Foundation to say, oh, young man, come. And I guess that's one of the areas that has redefined me, kind of, because at that time, it was G15, G11 that was almost everywhere. Yeah. And whenever you talk of G15, the person who was speaking for that group was me. And that spokesmanship that was done puts me on the front line. And by the time I finished that tenure, I became a household name in speaking in the public. And public speaking became more like another discovery of myself. So it wasn't too surprising that the present governor now decided that when he wanted to run his campaign, I was called in to be his spokesperson. And again, even though I wasn't particularly professionally trained in media management, of course, we reached out to those who understood media management, got knowledge here and there, and were able to deliver. And that tells me that the ground is wider and waiting for us to cover more. So media is now being added to the many side of me, and that to me is yet another milestone.
Okay, you delivered a paper in I think Port Harcourt, I'm not sure now, Ignite 2019, where you describe politics as a concentric circle of destructive conspiracy. I don't know if you recall that.
Yeah, the definition is that politics is a concentric cycle of constant conspiracies, okay, where conspirators constantly conspire, and the last to conspire constructively conquers, and the conspiracy theory goes on. What do I mean by that? That actually was the word of Professor Dogo of the University of Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University. Not ABU, ATBU is in Bauchi.
Okay.
It simply means that when there is need to put people in power and the electioneering process begins, it's conspiracy. Everybody wants to win. You are running, I'm running. My people are doing enough to ensure that you don't win. That's conspiracy. Your people are also doing as much as they could to ensure that I don't win. That's also conspiracy. Now, finally, maybe you won, and you've been sworn in. Another round of conspiracy begins in your camp. Who gets which position? Oh, this person wants to be commissioner for health. It mustn't be. It should be this person. You begin to see a lot of text messages, chats, saying this person is this, that person is that. They didn't say that when we were looking. Yeah, exactly. Now, by the time you choose those that will be in position. Another round of conspiracy begins. Is this person must not finish his term? Okay, even you, if he manages to conclude his term, he shouldn't get a second term. The conspiracy continues. And if you are mindful of the constants of that conspiracy, you must do enough to keep standing at all times, because only the last man stands.
Okay.
And the winner is the one who is still standing when the fight is over.
Now, I'm trying to, piece this picture together. You have that definition and understanding of politics, and you were involved in this G15, G11 thing. Now, let's put that side by side. The fact that you're also a man of God. What's the connection?
Conspiracy, most times, does not necessarily mean being violent, being vengeful, or full of vendetta. Not necessarily.
Okay.
There are structured ways by which it can be done without you violating the rules of engagement, as long as the biblical tenets are concerned. It is going out of your way to violate scriptural standard that is a sin. If, for example, someone is running against you and you have information that the person has not resigned from his former appointment and is standing election, if you bring out that fact, you haven't lied. You've just spoken the truth. And the truth is going to put you in a vantage position to win, because the person who has not resigned has violated the rule of engagement. And you have done the needful by exposing what was hidden. Bloodless, violent, just using your IQ to put yourself in a position of advantage. What happened in Bayelsa is a case in point, even though it's against our party. But it turns out that those who have the information about the academic records of the APC deputy governorship candidate went to court and used it. The court spoke to it, found merit in it, and used it against the party. Now, in the general election, the majority voted for our party. But it turned out that the candidature of our own candidate is flawed in law, just because someone exposed it. If they had gone into war and people had died, we will have been mourning all over that, oh, that's a theater of war that is going on there. But someone somewhere sat down and used his IQ. Those are the kind of politics we expect modern day politicians to keep playing. Your intellect will sharply increase, and you will now understand how to call those who are in position to order, so that they will do the needful in terms of administration. And if someone knows that you have information that can bring him down, he probably will not do what will make you have such information. So that's the way it runs.
Okay. You are watching Dialogue on NT Channel 2 of Abeokuta. My guest is the special advisor to Prince Dapo Abiodun, the governor of Ogun State, Dr. Remi Azan. The conversation continues. You are the special advisor to the governor. That's a move from the legislature where you were to the executive. That change, that shift for you, how has it been? How challenging is your job?
It's not really been easy, as it were. But then, like I said, if you broaden the horizon of your knowledge, such transition will appear seamless. You are the one that would know that the needful needs to be done for you to get to that point where you deliver. But of course, you will have a little bit of challenge. As a legislator, I can speak unrestrained. But in the executive, there are rules of engagement.
Okay.
And my communication, even as special advisor, MOSU, has to be structured so that it won't be something that will aggravate or make the entire atmosphere of the polity become tensed. If, for example, they say they are killing people somewhere and they need to immediately put a stop to that kind of killing spree, I must be careful the kind of comment I make, because whatever comes from my mouth, it is assumed that the government of Ogun State has spoken. So those kind of restraint, yes, you will see that it's becoming more like now being mastered. But at the early stage of the appointment, it was more like a struggle. But because of the understanding that it's a different terrain, taming myself was more of a conscious thing for me to do. So it's not particularly flawless, but it's looking good.
All right. You speak for the governor. You are a part of this administration. We know government is busy doing road, health, so many other areas. But then, in terms of direction, that, or should I use the word vision, that the government is running on, and would like the citizenry to see and appreciate or evaluate the government from. Can you give us that picture of the direction of this particular government?
Ogun State is synonymous with our state anthem. It is called Isheya.
Okay.
And the agenda of this administration is premised on the Isheya agenda. Now, this Isheya thing is more like an acronym of our vision. The idea, I, stands for infrastructure.
Okay. And
under infrastructure, you have road infrastructure, you have rail infrastructure, you have water infrastructure, because the development that will go to Olokula Free Trade Zone will encompass some marine transportation. Okay. Now, all of this infrastructure put together comes under the I. And we are doing enough to reposition our infrastructure map, our plan for infrastructure. And that's why you find out that we immediately put in place what is called the PPP law. Private-public partnership is a global standard practice. But in Nigeria, it has not really had the best of flawless operations, because the law that will protect the private investor bringing their money has not been put in place. Ogun State is about one of the states in Nigeria that has passed the PPP law. Okay. And the PPP office has been put in place. And that's why you see that private investors are willing to partner with us, because the law gives them comfort, the office gives them direction. In Ogun State today, you can come in, apply for land, and the government will give you a CFO within 28 working days. It is happening.
That's encouraging.
Those are the ease of business, doing business indicators that we are trying to reposition. That's for the I. It also includes land and land resource management as well. Move to the S. It talks about the social welfare and social well-being. Under social well-being is where you find health. And I've talked about severally at many fora the issue of our deliberate declaration of a state of emergency in our primary health care system. The primary health system is the closest facility to the people, and it has completely broken down. And that is why you find that pressure has been mounted on the secondary health facilities. Ordinary headache, you find people in General Hospital. What are they doing there? General Hospital is supposed to attend to cases that are quite critical, not such smaller cases. Women that are expectant can get some bit of attention at the gestation level at the primary health care center. So we want to immediately reposition all these primary health care facilities so that the well-being of our people can be better enhanced. And we don't want to do it alone. We're talking to private organizations to partner with us. All these communication companies, blue chip companies, what do? Adopt a facility. Ogun State is the spiritual headquarters of Africa, where almost all the churches have their headquarters. Some churches can take up some of these facilities, refurbish them and provide the facilities. With few millions, you can get some of these facilities in place. Okay. That's what you have under social welfare and social well-being. The women empowerment matter is also there. Okay. Come to E, you find education there. And you see what we're doing now in the educational sector. We are repositioning the educational infrastructure. We are also ensuring that the staff there, that's the teachers, are not only sufficiently empowered to do better, new ones are brought in so that the teacher-student ratio can be further structured into a manner that encourages thorough learning. I'm a product of a public school at all levels, primary, secondary, tertiary, every level, public school. And if this investment has produced me, that's a black pot producing a white pap, we shouldn't allow the pot to break.
Okay.
It is not about building new schools. It's about putting those old structures in place. And that's why you find that the governor declared a state of emergency in the educational sector. Move to the why. It is youth empowerment, culture and tourism, all put together. And for that, what are we doing? We are ensuring that our youth are moving away from the level of being unemployed, underemployed, or unemployable.
Okay.
Because somebody may be looking for a job and is not employable. We as a government will provide an avenue for such person to be skilled in a vocation, makes him employable, and we provide the platform for the person to get the employment. Okay. So under the youth empowerment and culture and tourism thing, it is all about repositioning our youth. And you will see that we have started in earnest our job portal.
Okay.
That job portal does not mean that once you are there, you will get job. No. It is just a platform to harvest data of the aggregate number of those that we need to provide for.
Okay.
And we are interfacing with blue chip companies. Come to this portal. Advertise your vacancies. Any of our people who qualify, take them up. And we've been having some employment coming on that platform. Us, as a state, when we wanted to do the beneficiaries for the Anchor Borrowers Fund of the CBN, that we had 10,000 privileges for our people to benefit. It was from that same platform that we invested the 10,000. Last 2 weeks, some of our people wrote computer-based tests to be employed as teachers. Those that wrote that test were harvested from that platform based on the qualification we're looking for. That's youth empowerment. Move to the last one, which is agriculture, and you will see that it is revolutionary what we're doing in agriculture. That is how we have premised our vision, Isheya.
Okay.
And that's what we're doing.
I think it's simple enough for people to understand. But perhaps we would like to speak on the issue of security. Like other states in the southwest, Ogun State is also part of the Amotekun movement. But do you consider the final word on security arrangements to take care of emerging security challenges in the country?
You will notice that one of the major reasons why our security broke down is because community policing is either non-existent or where it managed to exist is completely a failure. That's what the neighborhood or vigilante system is. Every criminal has an abode. That abode is in a community.
That's true.
And if those in that community are able to say, this is a criminal that stays amongst us, that means that wherever such a person stays, as long as the people see themselves as stakeholders in the security agenda, it means that there will be no home for any criminal to stay, because the intelligence in that community will fish out that person. It will make police work easier. And because this community policing effort has failed, Amotekun will revive community policing.
Okay.
Nigeria has a number of police that cannot cover the entire forest land. And Ogun State has a very large forest reserve where criminals can conveniently hide. Police will tell you that they have not sufficiently covered where people are staying. How will they go to cover the forest? And that's where criminal element, either as kidnappers or as the ones they call criminal headers, headsmen as they call them, hide. Come to the populated place, pick people, go back into the forest. If there are those who patrol the forest, credible information that can translate into actionable intelligence will come, and you will know where these people are hiding. If they have no hiding place, crime will either drop to near negligible or turn to zero. So those were the thinking of this government that made us to say we support Amotekun 100%. And you've seen that even in the House of Assembly with what is going on.
Okay, we have so many areas to cover, but it appears that maybe we'll have another, session of this engagement, because so many areas to cover. I would have loved, to have you speak on the issue of environment and other ones, but time is not our friend on this program. So this is where we'll wrap up on this particular edition of Dialogue. I have been talking to the special advisor to Governor Dapo Abiodun, Dr. Remi Hassan, and you agree with me that he has been a good guest on the program, quite engaging, and we would like to have him once more. It's been a pleasure having you, sir.
Always a pleasure too.
Thank you
very
much.
Glad to come back again.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Until we'll come your way with another edition of Dialogue, I remain your presenter, Adeni Taiwo. See you next time.